Hello Capricorn, and welcome to your March full moon 2023 reading. We have the full moon showing up just a few days after the beginning of the month. So what we're taking a look at here is a collective reading for full moon to new moon vibes, right? Like, full moon, what we have is, it's this build up, right? We have this build and pressurized kind of build to like this beautiful pregnant full moon that's just bursts, right? Which is why we tend to like at the peak or right before the peak into the peak, we like bless all of our gifts. We bless all of our projects and the people that we want to bless in our lives, because it's like, there's so much energy to disseminate, right? And then it pops, and then about 24 hours afterwards we move into this like waning phase, right? It starts to move. We have the full moon moving into a position of releasing and moving things through, tying up loose ends, what serves, what no longer serves, right? So, and we're going to get into each of these cards. Apologies for the lighting still, like between last video and this video. You guys have probably seen there's still a lot of snow outside, and so it's a little bit overexposed currently still, but don't worry, I'm making improvements. It's going to change. So let's take a look at what kind of spiritual advice is coming through for you, Capricorn sun or rising sign, right? I was feeling this one. So I dropped my cards. I was like, there it is. All right. So let's start here. I may or may not pull some kind of clarification cards here. It's just like I have to keep my hands here in order for them to not be overexposed, the cards. So we're taking a look at the theme that is coming up, like what area of life, which area of life do you need to be paying attention to during this particular phase, right? Which is approximately 2 weeks, right? When we go from full to new or new to full. And we're looking at your 12th house, Capricorn. So, the 12th house is really like, it can be really beautiful. It can be about this like spirituality, about plant medicine, about this expansive, like consciousness connected, like creating, like connecting to the stream of consciousness, to the allness, the everythingness, whatever you want to call it, the universe, right? And like there's a sense of whatever your spirituality is that's here. And it's also in its shadow form a house of escapism and secrets and addiction, right? So these are the themes that are coming up. Now, I'm not going to say it's the shadow side or the light side. That's for you to decide, because this is a collective reading. It's not going to apply to every single Capricorn sun or rising sign that's out there. So obviously, just like take this and integrate it however it makes sense for you. But this is the area of life that you're dealing with. So I'm getting the sense that for this particular full moon to new moon, there is this release, right? There is this trusting. Like part of the 12th house is trusting and letting go, trusting in a higher power, allowing things to move and change in a different way. Not only that, but an hour after we have the full moon peak, what we have is Saturn ingressing into a new sign. So Saturn is ingressing into Pisces from Aquarius approximately an hour after the peak of the full moon. So that's a really big deal. It's a big deal, not just on a personal level, but on a collective level as well. Like these are the further out the planets are, the longer the transits and the bigger the impact, because they have these overarching themes of like what is going to color the next however long of our life. And for Saturn, it takes 2.5 to 3 years for it to traverse one particular constellation, depending on the size of the constellation and all the different things, right? So, and depending on like what your natal chart is, like that would like if you're familiar with your chart enough to understand or to pull a chart and see where your natal chart is and where the transits are, you can look at which house which house Saturn is moving into from your natal chart. So you can always DM me if you want more information about how to do that. I think I'm going to put out a video so that people understand how to do that. Anyway, this is what's coming up, is the 12th house. And what's interesting is that Saturn is moving into Pisces, and the 12th house is a Piscean house. So I find this really interesting, Capricorn. I think that like there is this kind of being in sync and flow, which is very 12th house anyways, but being in sync and flow with the energies of the 12th house and what is occurring from this full to new moon. Your spiritual advice is to be in a space of optimism and hope, and to have this like almost like innocence about stepping out into this new path. Like, I think for some of you, you're stepping into a new cycle and maybe closing out, depending on what's happening astrologically for you in your chart, maybe stepping into a new cycle of who you are and where you're going and what you're meant to be doing. And even if you're not familiar with your own chart, like this is, the Fool card is about saying like, I'm going to go on this new adventure. I'm going to commit to it. I don't need to bring a whole bunch of shit with me. I've got my little pack, right? I don't have much with me, but I'm going to step out onto the road because I feel like I have everything that I need. I have my scruples and my wits about me, and I can traverse the path. No matter what kinds of perils or high points come along the way, I'm going to be able to do this. And so I feel like your guides are saying like, hey, remember what it feels like to be filled with possibility, to remember what it feels like to be optimistic and to be hopeful and to move into these spaces, which is very much 12th house, right? Like 12th house is definitely this place of feeling the flow and also trusting and allowing and letting go. So that may not necessarily feel the easiest for if you especially have really strong Capricornian placements, right? You might feel like, well, I need more grounding and stability and structure. And like Pisces, the 12th house in Pisces, like it says, you don't get to have that. You don't get to have the structure. But what's interesting is like Saturn is moving into Pisces, which is, you know, your Capricorn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And it's like bringing grounding and stability and like taking the things that are murky or unclear and not tangible and bringing them into the world of the material and tangible and grounding them in. So it's like, I feel like this is more so for you than anyone else. This has felt like the most aligned. And if you want a bigger picture of like what this looks like, I would say check out your March 2023 full month reading, which I'll put up here on the screen so that you can check that out. And, you know, we have the new moon on the 21st. So like I'll be doing videos for that as well. But if you want to know more specifically for you, description box has 30, 60, and 90-minute readings. So you can check that out and like see if you want to get a reading. But otherwise, I would say, yeah, check out the monthly reading. And I will see you in the next video. I hope this was helpful. I'll see you. Bye.